Hi, everybody, and thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. And if you're not subscribed, I hope you'll do so soon. Just in case anybody is confused on this point, Donald Trump is a stone cold racist. He is a white supremacist, okay? And he always has been. Now, the stuff that he's doing with Ukraine, okay, he was installed by Putin solely for Ukraine. Ukraine is the only thing that Vladimir Putin cares about. The stuff that Trump cares about a lot, it's rooted in deep racism, greed. He's a con man, a criminal, fraudster, money launderer, all of that. But and he gets to do that now as president. He gets to steal from us. He's got the whole crypto thing going. We know his long history of being a crook. He's not smart enough to be an honest businessman. So his money comes from ripping people off. That's how his father was. They've done this forever. It's the only thing Trump knows how to do. As we've said before, Trump cheats at everything. It is literally all he knows. You should assume that he's going to cheat at everything. Every contractor that's ever worked with him knows that he cheats at everything. And so he cheats at elections too. And it failed in 2020 as we've gone through that because of the pandemic and all those paper ballots that were mail-in ballots. Harder to cheat that way, which is why now he and Putin want to get rid of, the mail-in ballots. All right, so we got that. So what he does get to indulge himself in is his deep racism. We know the problem he had with Barack Obama, and he's the one that started the whole birtherism thing. Ridiculous. We know he really hates Black women. I mean, really hates them. They are at the center of most of his ire. That I know we all find entertaining, but I do feel very protective of these women who are standing up to him and have stood up, and many of them responsible for taking the legal action against him. So we know the long history of that, and that might be a different video. But a couple of quotes here. The Trump quote is, "Immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country." Adolf Hitler said that Jewish blood was poisoning the Aryan German blood. And he did that so he could dehumanize Jewish people and then eventually have them sent away and murdered in gas chambers. Okay. That is what people like that do. Some of the most evil people on the planet. And we've seen Trump build his concentration camp and actually laugh about it and brag, call it Alligator Alcatraz, that he hopes, these prisoners get eaten alive. And many of the people there they're not criminals. Some of them are in the U.S. legally, but once they go there, you can't get them. He was shipping people off to prisons in places where we have no idea what's going on. He joked about sending other people. He wants to do this with Adam Schiff. He says he's going to expand it beyond immigrants. So Trump wants to take his political enemies and jail them and have them sent away to places where bad things will happen to them and perhaps they will die. This is the trajectory he is on. His late ex-wife, Ivana, said during their divorce that he had kept a book of Hitler's speeches at his bedside, and that he referred to it often. And someone else said it was a copy of Mein Kampf, the Hitler book that Hitler wrote when he was in prison about white supremacy and the Jews and his intentions. Trump then admitted it to someone. He said, who told you that? Then he said it was a gift, so that doesn't count. But he admitted it. Then he later tried to tell a reporter when called, I don't know anything about Adolf Hitler that I haven't read in the news. Well, we don't hear about Hitler in the news on a regular basis. Most people know about Hitler and the Holocaust through lore, through history, through regular education, through just who we are in this world these days. So it's really an odd way that Trump references things. But when he's backed into a corner and he's lying, that's when he says stupid stuff like that. Okay. So when he and his father, when they had the apartment buildings, they were both sued twice by the U.S. government, by the Department of Justice for racial discrimination. They literally had their employees take the rental applications from Black and brown people. It's in New York. And if the people were Black or brown, they would mark them. He would instruct employees to mark those applications with a C for colored, so they could then be denied homes. They were sued twice by DOJ. Remember how Trump used to say when he was running for president the first time, I never settle lawsuits. Well, he settled those twice, both of them. Trump settles lawsuits all the time. Okay. So that was him showing what a stone cold racist he is. Just his regular commentary, the words he uses, that we know that he used to, when he was married to Ivana and they go to, their casino floors, he didn't want to offend the high rollers by having black people, black employees out on the casino floor. So he would reportedly order them to be removed from sight so they'd have to be in the back or something. This was Donald Trump, the president of the United States. And MAGA denies all this, or I suspect they know or they just don't care. It doesn't matter to them. Think of what kind of mentality and corroded soul you'd have to be to still be a Trump supporter in 2025. These people, by the way, usually the ones that try to, I'm a Christian. They're not. These are really bad people. So Trump, we know he did that. Well, we know how he is about Black women. We know he didn't allow people in his buildings, was sued twice for racial discrimination. And this goes on and on and on. Trump would be in a crowd and he'd point to people and say, look, there's my African American. They had like one guy, I guess they paid to attend all the rallies. So Trump could pretend that he had Black support or that he liked Black people. We know he was racist against Barack Obama. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Trump showing his white supremacy. I think it was early December of 2015, during the presidential primary, when we had like all of these candidates. And it was a weekend, and I was living in New York at the time, and I was on Twitter. And, we're fighting all of this MAGA stuff. We're trying to save our country. Like, why is this guy even still in the primary? And I was wondering at that point, he should have been long gone. But the media loved him for ratings, for cheap ratings. And in fairness, I don't think they ever really thought he could be the nominee, let alone win. I think they were just having fun. They were being irresponsible because they were looking at ratings and the bottom line. They weren't being journalists, because now the suits run the networks and they get too close. The suits are even running newsrooms. So you don't have that editorial legitimacy and freedom and independence anymore. So, we know about, it was in print. There was the big CNN town hall staff meeting with other different bureaus, and some of the senior people were weighing into Jeff Zucker, and they said, we are concerned that our wall-to-wall coverage of Donald Trump is going to make him the nominee, and that shouldn't be our role as journalists. And he said, and Zucker reportedly said, I don't care. Keep the cameras on him till the eyeballs leave. So there you go. That's how that went. So anyway, I was literally in a Twitter fight on this very subject about Trump being a racist. Trump is a white supremacist. We were hearing these things, the stuff that he was saying. Of course, there's the Obama stuff. And we knew that he had all these bots and trolls controlled by his side that would be on social media saying incredibly racist things. And of course, they're hiding behind, anonymity, or they were just fake, but some force within Trump world was doing this. So I'm in this kind of Twitter fight against a couple MAGA people. One of them was this like sellout, far right wing Black MAGA radio host of sorts. I mean, that's really bad. And he would occasionally get a pat on the back from Trump, and that made him. So, we're always, people like me, critics of Trump, they're always lurking. They're waiting to strike. They're watching us. They know we're effective. They know we gain an audience. So kind of like what Elon has done on Twitter, I'm shadow banned there. They try to suppress things. And, this has been going on now for years. All of a sudden, okay, we're in this conversation. There's like 3 people on this kind of, this public Twitter fight. All of a sudden, who weighs in? Donald Trump. Like he was sitting there on a Sunday afternoon lurking, waiting for it. Donald Trump breaks into this Twitter argument and posts, get this, he posts, and this was to me. You can find this online. Maybe I'll put it in the comments, because I was the one, I was tagged in this because he's replying to this. He posts fake Black crime statistics that he got from a fake U.S. agency that doesn't even exist. And then when asked about it later with the press, because people were shocked, almost a quaint, sweet times back then, right? Or we'd be shocked. It made a little bit of news, which was hard to do back then because there's just like fire hoses, chaos of Trump crap every day, every day, every day. You couldn't even keep up. Any one of these things would do in any other candidate at any time in US history in our politics. But Trump just kept it coming for ratings. And so when he was asked about it, they made up an excuse and they said, well, he got it from the information from his favorite far right, racist, white nationalist, white supremacist radio host or podcast or somebody he got it from, as if that made it better. Donald Trump, running in the the primary for the Republican nomination for president in late 2015, put on Twitter fake Black crime statistics to make Black crime look like it was way up and white people were the victims. He posted them in response to me and a couple of other people. So I have it. This is not something I heard about. It happened to me. I was sitting there going, oh my God. He tweeted fake Black crime statistics that actually cited right there on the picture that he did with the statistics. It was sourced to a U.S. federal agency that doesn't exist. It was made up. That, again, is something that thing alone would do anybody else in, but not Trump. But he did it. He did it. Now, we know he's very sexist and women are in grave danger in this country. I think if we had to choose, I think people of color are in worse danger because I think that Trump's deep-seated psychosis, hatred, racism, white nationalism, that's bad enough. And he's had this his entire life. I don't think it's something Vladimir Putin cares about. He just wants Ukraine. He's telling Trump, do whatever else you want. Raid the treasury, be the thief that you are, be the racist. He didn't care. Just give me Ukraine. So Trump literally has permission to indulge the things that are most important to him. Number one, money, the bribes that he's taking. He's never really been a billionaire. He is now. So he wants to be an oligarch. So it's the bribes basically taking from our, putting forth these draconian policies, and then companies and countries have to bribe him in order to get an exemption. The crypto stuff, his Bibles, his gold sneakers. I mean, just on and on and on it goes. His meme coins. It's just sickening. But Putin, his boss, doesn't care about that. It's like, fine, do it. The other thing that Trump likes to indulge is his racism. It's an indulgement for him. And that's why I think people of color in this country are in worse danger than I think we even can imagine. Because I think something bad is coming. And when you look at the almost unhinged, uncontrollable rage that he has against smart, powerful Black women who stand up to him, my God, you can almost feel the heat coming off of him from that. He really hates Black women a lot. And he spreads that hate around. So that's what I think the order is. If we are ever in a position where we have to sort of prioritize where to coalesce to have the biggest impact, that's the order of things. But we know this. So his greed and his criminality and the money laundering, his treason, all of that we know about. The greed is obvious. That's the indulgence. But his biggest indulgence, remember the Central Park 5? Remember, why did he even get involved in that? Never admitted when he was wrong. He wanted them killed. He put out a full-page ad. Now, this was after he got back from, was this when he got back from Russia after they first got their claws into him? Because at that point, he decided that that's when he first got political aspirations. So he starts getting involved in some of this stuff. And I think a big part of him bringing the National Guard into the District of Columbia, we literally have armored military vehicles on the streets of my city here. Something we've never had in America before. Washington, D.C. is what, 70, 80% Black population. I think that's why one reason why he's doing it. And he has tapped into the something where he finds these people. There could be people who have never voted before in their life. And a lot of MAGA fall into that category. They've never been politically active. It's not like, oh, well, this is the regular Republican Party and they all just supported him. No, the Republican Party that I used to belong to, and if any of you have ever voted Republican or if you've ever been a Republican at any point in your life, that's gone. It's completely gone. And it's been layered over with MAGA over the past 10 years. But initially, Trump drew people in to vote in many cases, for the first time in their lives. These were not politically active people. They weren't particularly well informed at all. But he found that thing. He sought it out. He knew how to do it, how to find these people that shared his deep hatred of people who didn't look like him. Like anybody wants to look like him. He's one of the homeliest people I've ever seen in my life. And he goes to such great lengths to make himself even homelier and sillier looking. But let's not forget, with all of the other stuff about Trump, he's racist. He's a white supremacist. And it's not just an attitude, it's something that he wants to take action on. And that is why he is, in fact, a fan of Adolf Hitler's. Why he kept that book. Again, this was his wife saying this, while he kept that Hitler book of Hitler speeches next to his bedside. Then he later claimed that he was given a copy of Mein Kampf by someone else and thought that somehow made a difference because it was from somebody who was Jewish. He thought, well, that sounds better, right? Talk about tone deaf. Make no mistake about it. His racism, his deep hatred of people who aren't white is the indulgence that he's being allowed by Putin, along with the theft and the fraud to make himself an oligarch, or at least a billionaire. We sometimes have to pull ourselves back in to focus on what's really happening because, again, there's so much out there. And we see Trump desperately trying to sell out Ukraine because without it, I haven't, if someone has this, send me a picture or a link to a video of this in the comments, if you will. I've seen lots of reference to the ashen looks on the faces of Carolyn Levitt and maybe others after whatever Putin said or did, which means they know it's really bad. I mean, Trump is literally, we're in a situation where now he's supposed to be trading Ukraine, hand Ukraine to Putin in exchange for Putin not to release the kompromat that I think came from the Epstein files that he has on Trump. Or maybe it's more than one thing. And it's really, really bad. And I think whatever the looks are on the faces of the people around him, they at least saw part of it. And I'd like to see it. I really want to see what that was about. By the way, Dan Bongino is now being sidelined. Because he's not properly, now he's an idiot, real idiot. I've always thought that the steroids have gotten to his brain. He's never been quite right. He ran for Congress, by the way, once in my home district, my home state, lost, for good reason. And he's always been off. A brain cell or two. And Trump likes people like that. They're easier to control. And if he gives them something that, Bongino had to leave Fox. And so Trump, I think, finds people that he knows will do anything for him, or they're so stupid and they're so happy just to be in his presence and to have a job that they could never get within a mile of any other administration, that he can get them to do anything. And it sounds like Dan Bongino, deputy director of the FBI, balked a little bit, and he and Pam Bondi allegedly got in a screaming fight because they're trying to draw Bongino in so he will be involved in the cover-up that he doesn't want to be involved in, and get him to commit little crimes. Because once again, it's like the mobsters. Once you get them to commit a little crime for you, then they're all in. Pam Bondi is all in with Trump. She has to be. She has to be. So that's why he likes to pull people in and pardon them, so they owe him. Where he's their only savior, because then they will do anything for him, and that's what he needs. He can't get smart, good people to work for him. They're going to do the right thing for the country and follow the law. That has no value for him. But Bongino seems to have fought back. God, I hate to think that I'm complimenting him, but we do have to grade on a curve when it comes to MAGA, don't we? These people are the worst of the worst. So yeah, Bongino, if you put him up against like anybody in your life that you know and like and spend time with, he'd be the worst person of the worst. You probably kick him out of your group. But in this context, it looks like he might be part of the best. So because he's not willing, or because even if he later acted like he was willing, just the fact that he at first balked on this, they now are giving him a co-equal person, which means that person will really be the deputy director of the FBI, and Bongino will be gone here shortly. They'll push him out. They'll give him some other job. They'll make him an offer he can't refuse. But first, they're going to have to do something to make sure that he never reveals the little that he does know. Anyway, I think we have to remind ourselves of the context of most everything that Trump does, so that we don't normalize him, so that it's not so easy to go, oh, that'll never happen, or that's not important. And maybe your MAGA friends, then it's too easy for them to sweep it under the rug and pretend it isn't real. So sometimes I think it's good to kind of scrape away all this external stuff and go down to the core of what Trump is, and remind ourselves that it's extraordinarily dangerous. He is a fan of Hitler's. He is a white nationalist. He now wants to go through the Smithsonian and take out, he literally chose publicly to talk about the issue of slavery and how it's portrayed. Like, they portray it as only bad. Okay. Yeah. We got to remind ourselves who this character really is and what he intends to do. Because we have spent 10 years thinking, oh, he won't do that. That can't happen. And then he does it. And we're like, well, he won't go any further than that. We have a concentration camp in Florida, in the Everglades, that he brags, Alligator Alcatraz. Okay? He literally is paid foreign countries to take our prisoners and do things to them that you can't do without some scrutiny here in the U.S. I think we all know that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And you can just imagine what's in the Epstein files when you look at what Trump is doing to cover it up. And that is why, if you've got footage or pictures of these ashen faces that I've been hearing about, please put those in the comments, because I want to see it. Because if, the more people, even if these are stone cold, most horrific people in the world that surround Trump, but the more people that are aware of even a whiff of what this might be that Putin has, I think we have some hope. We got to save this country. And sometimes it means really getting in the mud and getting some of that dirt on us. Maybe a lot of dirt, but it's worth it.